Okay, all right, we're here with Tree Utah, and here's a little pop-up lesson. I grabbed Jace, who wants to be a bio teacher when he grows up, which is pretty cool. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Like, how did you get inspired to want to be a bio teacher?
I think most credit goes to my biology teacher, Mr. Mulick, because he's so awesome and he just taught biology in such a passionate way. And I thought, I love science and I have always kind of wanted to be a teacher. So he was the one who really inspired me. Like, I can put those two things together,
Oh, cool. Yeah, totally. So Jace is going to help us teach today a concept. We are learning how things interact. So Jace, you were saying you really like biology
because everything works together. Once you learn a couple things, you can put them together and see how things really work and how they just connect to one another.
So we have a really awesome example of this as we plant this tree. And do you remember what kind of tree this is? It's a bush.
Gold currant.
Yes, awesome. So it's a golden currant. And let's see, there's some bigger examples around here. So we were able to see what it looks like as it grows up. But this is a little sprout. We're gonna put it in the ground. What sort of things should we think about, Jace, when we put this little baby currant in the ground?
Well, the soil has to be right,
Yep.
Put it near water so it'll grow better.
Mm-hmm.
The hole has to be deep enough.
Yeah, totally. So we can just check that, right? See the hole's deep enough.
Yeah, I did it.
Yep. And then the cool thing about being out here is this is sort of a natural laboratory. So we can run experiments kind of on the fly. So you kind of just came up with an experiment. What's your idea?
So we were thinking about how the soil closer to the river is different from the soil that's closer to the bushes and have more roots in them. So it's rockier here and like rootier over there. So I was wondering how different plants would respond to each one, which one's better or which one, makes it easier for plants to grow.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we have variables, what kind of soil, so what is the effect of different types of soil on what are we going to measure? How do we know what the difference is?
You could do height, you could do lifespan, you could do, I don't know.
No, that's awesome. So you live around here, you go to school at Park City, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Jace has the ability to come back out here and monitor his experiment. Because a lot of times in biology, you have to be present for a life cycle.
Right.
What do you think the life cycle of this currant tree is? I don't know. I mean, that's another question we could look up, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put this in the ground. What else are we going to add to it? What's our kind of secret sauce today?
Biochar.
Woo-hoo! And tell us a little bit about biochar.
So from what I have gathered,
Yes.
biochar is it's charred, burnt plant matter, and it is kind of like dirt or fertilizer,
Yep.
except it lasts much longer and it creates a really rich nutrient base for the plants to grow and keep using more and more throughout the life cycle of the plant.
Totally. So we got nutrients that are coming from the soil. We're giving them basically a structure or a home to live in. So there's these fungus called mycorrhizal fungus, and they get down in there and they grow inside the structure and they're able to do their job really well. It's like, think about, you can do your homework really well when you have a nice quiet spot to sit and study. That's sort of what's going on here. So we were just talking about cycles too. So we have the carbon cycle, where this is carbon, like it's charcoal, and it's been pressurized and compressed. But where did that carbon originally come from? What do you think?
The plants?
The plants. So the plants take in carbon how? And I'm really putting you on the spot here, and you're doing great.
Photosynthesis.
Yes, photosynthesis. So we got that process of taking CO2 out of the air. The plant takes it into its roots, puts it into biomass. Then the plant dies, we harvest it, and now we put it back on the plant.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful cycle of nature. One last little tidbit before this current goes in the ground. What happens when the cycles go out of control? What's your thought? Something gets out of balance.
Well, depending on what it is, if it's out of balance, I think a lot of plants are really easily adaptable.
Totally.
So they can adapt to a change and, you know, continue as normal.
Yeah, so it's really important that we're planting a lot of plants because they do that process of taking CO2 out of the atmosphere. Have you heard about anything with CO2 in the atmosphere? What's going on there?
Greenhouse gas.
Yeah, it's a greenhouse gas. So why is that a bad thing?
Because it leads to global warming.
And why is that a bad thing?
Because we... You're putting me on the spot.
I know, yeah, so let's just think about that's kind of a question to everybody. We have our planet's warming. What else does that affect?
Crop yield.
Totally. So crops maybe don't produce as much. You go to the top of a mountain and take the pica, which is, have you ever seen a pica?
I have.
Okay, and it gets really hot, so it wants to get colder, so it goes even further up to the top of the mountain. But what happens when you get to the tippy top of a mountain?
There's nowhere else to go.
There's nowhere else to go. So we have habitat loss, all sorts of things. So any last words? We'll kind of wrap this up here.
I'm just really glad you guys decided to do this. This is really fun.
Sweet.
And I think we should do this again.
We should, definitely.
You know, it's very good on your conscience.
Oh yeah? Say more.
Well, like, you know you're helping the environment, so, you know, in the future you can say, like, I did what I could to help the environment, you know? And I don't know, it just feels really good.
That's awesome. Cool, thanks so much for being out here with me, Jace. It's been great getting to know you.
Yeah.
And learning about your aspirations as a bio teacher. I think you're going to be terrific. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, you can find a worksheet, teachers, if you want to use this in your classroom. If you want to come out with Tree Utah, visit treeutah.com/volunteer. And just an awesome way to spend your Saturday. Learn something, meet new people, get messy. See you later.